This week on the show, we're joined by BadHumans. If you're enjoying the podcast and want to support it, make sure to check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/KojimaFreak. I do remember that famous line, like,
You know a lot about science, but you don't know how good a cigarette tastes in the morning.
damn it, I think Solid Snake got me into smoking cigarettes. It's his fault.
He smokes Hope. or he does in MGS2. I forget what the brand is in MGS1.
Muslims is MGS1 and Police Nuts.
Okay. And I think, what are they, Big Boss in MGS4?
Yeah, I think it's just Boss, actually.
Hey, I'm Fingers.
Yo, it's Apache Smash.
Hey everyone, this is Days Ahead.
And I'm Nitroid. You're listening to the Kojima Frequency. In 2 it was like Lucky Strikers?
He changed his brand, I think, from plant to tanker. Or it's something weird.
No, I mean in Metal Gear 2.
Oh, yeah. It's a fictional character. It's not something I really remember. I just remember Hope. I remember he smokes Hope in MGS2 because I thought that was funny.
I needed to know why he switched brands. Like, did he just get kind of tired of it, or?
Since we've done them all, we may as well do MGS3 as well. Do you know what the cigar is in MGS3?
No, that one's tricky, actually.
It's a petite Upman. It's a JFK cigar.
Is that what it was?
It doesn't have that logo on it, but it looks.
Yeah,
exactly
it's like an approximation of it.
Yeah, it's meant to be JFK's cigar.
There might actually be a reason. Oh, go ahead, Apache.
Sorry, but yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I wonder why he's called fucking John/Jack. Like, it's oh man, that was something I had to deal with the other day. That his name's not really John.
What do you mean? How did you have to deal with it?
Oh God, that guy.
I just put something, like some dumb tweet, and it was like blah blah blah, Big Boss John MGS3, and someone was like, "Don't you mean Jack?" And I was like, "No, I don't mean Jack." And they're like, "Well, his name's not John; it's actually Jack." I'm like, "Yeah, Jack. John's called himself Jack. Like, for example, John F. Kennedy was called Jack by his family and friends."
You just have to explain what the word diminutive means, and then people are like, nah, what do you mean? It's like, come on, man. Like, like Richard equals Dick, like John and Jack, and then they're like, well, I don't know. There's people that there's either people that want to learn, or there's people that just want to, like, say their piece and just be like, nah. And that's what you were dealing with, Apache. You're just dealing with a guy that just want to go, nah.
At one point, back in, like, the old fandom days, we kind of got tired of this argument. and one of the guys started a rumor that Big Boss's canonical name, according to some obscure Japanese pamphlet, was Jack T. Miles.
Oh,
and
so
he
he's
just pulled that name out of a hat. So, like, it doesn't.
He's
mean
related
anything.
to Tails, basically. Then.
Basically, yeah. And it's funny, if you Google search Jack T. Miles, you'll still find references to it.
Yeah, it's funny how some of the stuff that isn't official is kind of bled into the lexicon of the community. With, like, mistranslations and stuff like that. Like the English translation to, what is it, Metal Gear 2? With Master Miller's background.
Oh, which one was that specifically?
About his family. Like, they gave names to somebody that wasn't in the manual to begin with.
Oh, right, his wife, Nadine. Yeah. And then I think that's even on the wiki, isn't it?
Maybe.
I mean, it's probably best not to trust the wiki on fine details, but
it's hard to trust anything. Even the what is it? The thing that you referenced the other day, the MGS2 game plan, the game plan, right?
Yeah.
Which was translated for us, which is, like, I don't want to shit on anybody. That's hard work. But there's that huge mistranslation at the end that credits Tomokazu Fukushima as game designer. When that's not what it says. And that has bled into I'm guessing this is where they got it from, the MGS3 Wikipedia that has Tomokazu Fukushima credited as game designer with parentheses omitted from the game or something like that. So we have to be careful with the stuff that's been translated. It's unfortunate.
there was going back to Metal Gear 2, with regards to Miller's daughter Catherine, if I remember right, that's not even in the game. That was data mined, wasn't it?
Oh, I don't remember. I haven't really looked at any Metal Gear stuff in like months. Unfortunately, for this Metal Gear podcast for you guys, I haven't really done anything since like last summer.
Coming in fresh. That's all right. We can all just look up stuff and figure it out and hit pause.
But what I was gonna say is there might actually be a lore thing to why he switches brand to MGS2, because at some point they don't have the funds anymore. And so he can't afford good equipment, and he gets fatter.
You were right on with what I was thinking. I was like, I need to know why he switched brands, because you don't just go switching brands like that. Like, you find a cigarette and you fucking stay on that shit for like a decade, you know? Unless there's some new shit that comes out, or you lose all your funding to some, military operation and have to, get the cheap shit, or roll your own. But fuck.
He's got a different brand like every game, though.
Well, maybe that's just what it takes. You need like a global nuclear situation to really just, shake up the whole, You need something different after that,
Isn't he only smoking one cigarette throughout MGS4? It's that same cigarette over and over again, besides the loading screens? Or
I took
the
that as
installing
like
screens.
as sort of an homage of sorts to Escape from LA, where smoking is banned, and Pliskin can't find one until like the very end when he finds a pack on the ground, and it's like presumably the last cigarette on Earth. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading into that.
You really love that movie.
It's a fun movie, man.
It's all right. It's okay.
It's so stupid and goofy. I love it.
It's pretty meta, isn't it? Just like Metal Gear. It kind of just folds on itself by parroting the first one.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Though I don't know. I haven't read a lot of interviews with Carpenter about it.
The first film's much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, the second one just got fucking silly. I was just like, I watched those movies a long time ago. I need to rewatch them for sure, but I didn't even, like, when I watched them, I didn't even know they had a connection to Metal Gear. So I was just like, what is this crazy shit going on in front of me right now? But now it makes a lot more sense.
I'm 100% down for a John Carpenter marathon if you want fingers.
All right, let's go. That's what we need to do, some watch party shit. Hell yeah.
It is one of my favorites.
He's very good. He brings in things with the budget he has, and he makes it on within his deadline. And
unlike Kojima. What?
Well, I don't want to draw too many comparisons.
I was saying unlike Kojima, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too comfortable with everybody yet just to start shitting on Kojima just yet. I'm just gonna need
welcome
some
to the
time
show,
to start
buddy.
shitting.
Yeah, we're probably gonna cut certain parts out.
I mean, your Patreon users will still know. That's the thing. You can't erase their minds.
Yeah, but they're cool.
Yeah, these guys are all cool.
These guys aren't gonna narc.
Shouts out to the Patreon listeners. They get the uncut.
Okay. I looked it up because I took notes on this for a project that I'll probably talk about in, maybe 2 to 4 weeks, and I'll just leave it at that. But I had a list of the different cigarette types Snake smokes, and in Metal Gear 1, it was Lucky Strikers, reference to Lucky Strikes. Metal Gear 2, it was...
Good cigarette, by the way.
They're illegal here.
Metal Gear 2 was Ball Mall, which is, reference to Pall Mall. Yeah.
I smoked those for a bit.
MGS1 was the Moslems, the bent cigarettes that, were from police knots. Which these are an actual brand, which is interesting. Out of a company in Berlin. And then MGS2, during the tanker, it was the Hope brand, like you said. But on the plant chapter, it doesn't have the Hope label on it, suggesting he changed again.
Yeah. It's too cheap to buy Hope.
Right? Oh, man.
That's true. It's true, though. He let himself go.
Then he just gets bent. That's pretty good.
MGS3, we said it was the JFK cigar, right?
Yeah, Upman's, Petit Upman's.
The Johnny Jackie cigar.
The Cuban cigars, obviously.
Going back to what you said, I think with Carpenter and Kojima, I think the only development of the only Metal Gear development that went fine was MGS1. 2 had its problems. 3, they couldn't decide on the scenario, and that they prolonged long enough for the other 2 teams to finish up and help them. 4, we know what happened. Peace Walker on the blog, it says, "Hey, we're gonna miss our release date," so they pushed it back. And of course, everybody knows with 5. Metal Gear 2, they stopped for ST Snatcher, and I don't know about Metal Gear 1. I can't remember. So it's either MG1 and MGS1 that had smooth development. The other ones didn't.
Well, 1 was originally going to be an action game, and they were having trouble getting enough enemies on the screen, so they had to figure out a solution.
Right. So it had its own problems as well. That's right.
The part of that's just software development in general, though. But
I think
yeah,
max is 3 in Metal Gear Solid 1, right? The max enemies you can have on screen at once is 3.
That's what they said.
Really, is that all?
Yeah. It makes it seem like it's continuous, and there's it uses like atmosphere and environment to make it seem like there's way more. So like when you're in alert, you'll get 3 come from different angles, and then as soon as one dies, you'll have another one appear in almost immediately.
For the most part, Ghost Babel is the same way. But Babel will sometimes throw in like 4 guards, and then it'll start lagging. But for the most part, it's 3 as well.
With MGS2, it failed its first review, didn't it?
You tell me. I haven't really studied anything.
I'm trying to remember the exact details on this.
You mean when they were like trying to add like 500 guards?
Oh no! Like their initial submission failed. It was sent back. I guess it didn't pass muster. There were either bugs or it didn't meet some kind of standard.
All I remember is the 300 revisions they had to do after 9/11.
Yeah.
Before that, it's kind of hard to remember. It's really tough with Metal Gear, especially with Metal Gear, because you hear something and you go, "Did I hear something about that? Or have I heard just enough of it to think that I've heard something about it?"
Yeah.
Now, was it actually 300 revisions?
Yeah, that's what's written down in the Jeff Keighley article.
Thanks, Osama.
It might be 200. Yeah, I might miss it by 100.
I wonder
either
if that's a bit exaggerated, because like when you say 200 revisions, obviously, how many of those revisions
What
amount
counts
to
as
the
a
one
revision?
Cuts, right.
Yeah.
Like little
are we
red
talking-
mark, like comma. Yeah.
Because we usually sort of categorize it as, oh, well, they took out the Arsenal Gear crash scene or the New York Stock Exchange conversation or
The flag.
Right. Or
Right.
Karen Hojo or what have you.
I mean, that's 5 right there. Just another 195, and we'll
Right.
get them all.
Get to hunting.
No, I don't know. It's probably program. You take one thing out, it probably screws something else.
I figured out what my audio issues were. I plugged in my brand new DualSense controller, and
I know what happened.
my audio went it redirected to the wireless controller, which obviously I
Yeah.
didn't want that. And it was funny because I was already in Discord at the time, so I could hear when I was in Discord for Overwatch, I could hear that, and then when I moved over, I couldn't hear you guys. And then when I was playing Death Stranding, I couldn't hear that either. So I was freaking out that like Death Stranding broke my computer, but nah, the DualSense broke my computer.
Your first time with Death Stranding?
Actually, no, this is my 3rd time with Death Stranding. The director's cut, the upgrade for the PC players came out today. So and it's one of like 5 games that currently supports DualSense on PC. So I'm hoping that's like Pat was wrong. I was the one that said that DualSense was coming on PC, and Pat said that's not going to happen.
Oh, I thought he said that they were going to develop it for like a couple of games, and then that was going to be it. That's what I thought he was saying. Is like it'll be like Death Stranding, one indie game, and that's it.
No, I distinctly no, because I remember looking at that graph and being like, I remember when Pat laughed me off when I said that and I asked if DualSense would go on PC. Look who's laughing now. But yeah, it was pretty cool having my first haptic feedback.
It is cool they included that on the PC version. I didn't think that they were going to. But.
Yeah. But I only got to play a little bit, so.
You would think it would almost be like a licensing thing with PlayStation too. That's like just, with like DualSense, like TM.
We're all moving to PCs in a few years anyway.
You think?
I
think
mean,
the age of the consoles coming to an end here.
I feel like consoles feel more like PCs nowadays with all the type of, modularity and
the architecture's pretty similar now. It's no more specific stuff like the cell. It's just PC parts. So I don't see if you have Game Pass, then why not just get a PC and get Game Pass? You don't have to worry about your new Xbox and this and that. You'll have a PC. You have the same thing with PlayStation now. All their games are being shipped over to PC.
Yeah.
What's the point? Especially if you have DualSense haptic.
Except Bloodborne, they'll never let that happen.
Unfortunately.
That is the thing. They keep having these like singular games where it's like, oh yeah, but there's not that one on here. So, it's almost there, but then they just keep having these like cloud services that if they could just let us download the games like Xbox, like Game Pass does, that'd be better.
I'm a little upset at the new PlayStation Plus subscription service they announced.
It's so bad.
Yeah, it's lame.
It's so bad.
They have basically said that they have a reliable method of emulating PS1, PS2, and PSP games on both PS4 and 5. And yet, they're going to prevent anyone from, I don't know if prevent's the right word, but they are not going to accommodate anyone who may have purchased digital copies of these games on older platforms, despite the fact that they should work just fine. Or, if I've got a disc-based PS5 or anybody who's got a PS4, why can't we just pop our discs in? It doesn't make any sense.
They really bit themselves in the ass with the PS3 architecture. It was like a gift and a curse.
What was that meme you made, Apache?
I just
brother
wrote
in
it,
Christ.
Right? Yeah, my brother in Christ. You made the PS3.
I just wrote it, and then someone else posted it, and I'm pretty sure I came up with it first, but we both came to the same independent conclusion. But they're like, we can't figure out the PlayStation 3. It's like, bro, you are the PlayStation 3. How can you not figure it out? You're the only people who should be able to figure it out.
Not to go on a tangent here, but they're going to be running out of room to keep this service going eventually. I mean, just by virtue of the fact that hardware has to be refreshed over time as it wears out. The cell processor's been discontinued since, I think, 2009. So, I mean, where are they getting, replacement parts or boards for whatever, system they've got running PlayStation now? I remember there was an article a while back, and I'm just going from memory. I kind of took a peek at it the other day, so I'm trying to remember as best I can. But the idea is that they've got these special boards that are essentially 8 PlayStation 3s in one, and that is the back end of the PlayStation Now cloud service. So it runs, multiple instances of PS3s on a single board, and then that gets streamed to whoever's playing it. But it's all still running on cell architecture, and if those chips are gone, what are they going to do? Like, is IBM just special order machining these things for them? Do they have a ton of backups? What's going on?
They're charging us $120 a year to be able to access this PS3 layer of this. That's on the PlayStation Plus Premium. That's the biggest one. So
it might be really expensive.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. They're definitely charging people, for it. So
okay, well, all of this is beside the point that game streaming sucks.
Yeah, and it's not even an ability thing.
I mean,
yeah. I can sit here on this little emulator machine that I bought the other day, and I can wirelessly play, Metal Gear Solid 4 on my computer through Moonlight now. It's like, what the fuck? But it's like, yeah, I can cloud it.
RPCS3, the PS3 emulator, the big one, RPCS3, I think it's the only one, literally runs on the Steam Deck.
Yeah. So it's not a question of ability right now. And they could give us and what I'm seeing with a lot of these devices is people are making custom configs with it where they're like, this is the best way to do it with this game, run it this way. And they could just have it figured out for us like that and give us the best way to play it.
And they're doing this without access to documentation.
Yeah.
So what's Sony's excuse?
Yeah, we already know that, like, I mean, this PS3 cloud service, this is just PS Now. This already exists. And
Yeah.
we've tested this. I tested it profusely, and not only is it not good, but the PlayStation 3s that you are on are not very good PlayStation 3s. They do not touch the loads of like slim or super slim. They are like really old, and they're wildly inconsistent as well. So I loaded into multiple instances of Metal Gear Solid 2 and Metal Gear Solid 3 on the PS Now just to check loading screens, because I'm just the kind of guy who does that and is interested in timing loading
That's
screens.
how you get your kicks.
Yeah, that's just how I enjoy life.
You need to post like YouTube comparisons.
Yeah, and like I they do not touch like good PlayStation 3s. They are I don't know how it works on their end, but they are not powerful PS3s. So we already know that sucks. So just forget every PS3 game. This is not like a new backwards compatibility for PS3. It already exists. You don't want anything to do with it. It's really bad. PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 1, you'll be able to download it to your PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 and your PC as well, right? They wrote PC on there.
I don't know if it'll play. I know they said you can download it to the consoles. I don't know if you can download it to the PC. It may just stream. Because there was a comment about like there are streaming options available for people who can't download.
Let me bring the post up. Let me find it.
I mean,
Just need
look,
to give us fucking install files like Game Pass does, and just like give it a like rental access to that file. Like let us install it. Don't let us cloud run it off the cloud. It's so stupid.
And it's not like there's no precedence in that, because they lock your shit if you like have a PlayStation Plus game and you run out of PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, I canceled my PlayStation Plus back in January. I'm glad I did. All the like free games have sucked ever since. this whole year they've been dog shit. And now they're rolling out this stuff, and that's, dude. I actually, all right, guys, I'm gonna make an announcement here on the podcast. I put in an order to get my PS3 fixed. Okay, so we're gonna have a box sitting here. We're gonna get it sit back.
We're gonna play some MGO2.
Yeah. I've got that on PC.
I was gonna say, what's yeah?
You're right. It's only streaming through the PC, so it's just PS Now. It's literally just PS Now.
Look, here's the thing. I would have actually considered getting this service if they would have also, extended the olive branch and said, hey, if you have old purchases of PS1 or PSP, PS2 games,
or
you
physical
can play
copies,
those, or you've got physical copies, those will work. But you can also use this service to get extra ones. Like, I would have seen that and I would have been like, well, you know what? Hell yeah, I'll sign up. Like, that'd get me. But no, that's not what they're doing. Basically, all of those games that everyone purchased are useless now. And the PS3 store, it's not even up anymore, at least not on the web. I mean, God knows how long that thing's going to be active for, if it even is on the console.
When I did call to get the thing shipped back to me, like I did it online, but then when I called there to ask them about it, they didn't have a PS3 department. And when I asked the lady, she was like, yeah, we stopped doing that. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. You guys sent me a repair box. So we'll see how this goes. But
oh my God, no. Are you serious?
So
like, wait,
the lady did not, she was like, I don't know nothing about PS5s. I don't know nothing about PS3s. I only do PS4. And I was like, I know, I hit the PS4 button, but that's only because there wasn't a PS3 extension.
Oh, man.
Oh, no. Dude, you might just not see your PS3 again.
I know, man. It's dark times. Get your emulators up.
Do or die situation.
I pulled the trigger. I was like, fuck it. I got to do it now or never, man. This sucks.
They might just send you a PS4 back.
Wouldn't that be
that
some
would be
shit?
a fucking
She asked me,
joke.
she was like, she goes, well, have you thought about buying a PS4 or a PS5?
Oh my God.
I was like, I got one of those, goddamn. Like,
Have y'all
Thank
thought about
you.
making your games playable?
yeah.
Thank you, call center agent.
God.
I kind of leveled with her. I was like, look, this. I realize you're in the position here and you're just doing your job, but this just sucks for me because I'm hankering for some PS3 action.
Can I just say you probably could have got a new PS3 for less than the price of what you paid to repair it?
No, dude, it was $80 to get the repair, and it's like $200 for them online, or I don't know. That's what I'm
Are
seeing.
you serious?
When I Google it?
Yeah.
Google a PS3
I got
right
mine
now.
for 100 something, I think.
I got mine for like $30 on Facebook Marketplace.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Well, y'all are That's going through a little. I was just looking at like Amazon and eBay, and that's what I was seeing was like 200 something.
God.
Yeah, they're going up.
Since the beginning of the shit that's going on in the world, the price of games and consoles has been going up and up.
Yeah, so maybe just in that
Maybe,
quick little bit of
yeah.
time. Good call.
The last thing I want to say about the PlayStation subscription service is like, if you are looking at this as a Metal Gear fan, that it's good news. All signs indicate that it's bad news. Like every single sign.
The HD collection isn't even on PlayStation Now anymore, is it?
No,
4
no,
is
no.
though, right?
4 is.
4
Yeah,
is,
okay.
yeah.
4 and Peace Walker.
Wait. Back up. I thought the HD collection that they had on PlayStation Now was just the version that was bundled in with the PS3 HD collection. Did they split it out?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't
Oh,
remember
then I
this
might have
one.
made a mistake then. Because you're asking about Peace Walker, right?
Yeah, because on the PS3 it was bundled into the HD collection.
Yeah.
Well,
it
I
was.
have them separately on the PS3. I bought them separately, so I'm imagining that's what it's like on PS Now as well. But I could
No.
be wrong because it's been a long time since I checked PS Now.
On
I mean, they
PS
might have
Now, you
changed
beat
it.
into one game. From memory, you beat into one game.
I bought a PlayStation 3 Slim HD 320 gigabytes for $99.99 at
Nice.
but now those same Slims are like $179. But you just have to keep searching. I don't know. It's a crapshoot, honestly.
I hope I just like send it into them. They flip my CMOS battery around, and it fucking update goes through. And they send it back to me. That's really. I don't want to go in there and rip that thing open. It is like a lot of steps to get to the even get to the CMOS battery. And then I've heard people say that doesn't even fix it. So
That's your
I don't
baby,
know.
right? You'd rather have your baby go for like, doctor's
Yeah.
appointment that's just like a checkup than a whole ass heart surgery.
yeah, and even if they send me like a different baby and it's just as good as a baby, that's fine. That'll be my new
Yeah.
baby.
That's true.
They're gonna send you a PS1 and a PS2. I mean, that adds up to 3, right?
Slam 'em
Or if they
together.
send you a PS4 and you're just like, I hate this fucking child. I'm going to kill it.
Yeah.
We'll send you a PS4, but you have to send us a PS1, so that way it equals out.
Now I feel ridiculous for getting a DualSense before getting a PlayStation 5, but just like
I did that.
you
I've
could
got one
feel
too.
That's a kick-ass
could-
controller.
you could
Feels
feel Sam's zipper going down. Insane. That was the first thing I did was piss.
That's awesome.
Whoa,
It's only like 1 milliliter, but
it's a good controller. It feels really good.
it
reminds me
does.
Reminds me of the 360 controller in a way. Not the face buttons, but just the feel of it, the weight of it.
Yeah.
I will tell you this: playing Gran Turismo 7 on that thing is amazing. I may have issues with Gran Turismo 7 right now and certain monetization models that they have adopted. But man, it feels real good. You can feel the road through that thing. You can really tell what you're doing. It's pretty darn cool. I wish I knew more about cars so I could explain this better.
It looks expensive. It feels really good, and I really liked the DualShock 4 when it came out. Even though I was a little disappointed with the DualShock 4 because it felt like a Fisher Price toy when I first touched it. But I really liked its feel. But DualSense kind of blows it away now. I only use the DualShock 4 for the PS3 at this point because I can't stand that DualShock 3. That
Oh
DualShock
yeah,
3.
the shoulder buttons are awful.
Which was the
Yeah.
worst controller
The
ever made.
convex
It's
R2.
it's just too
L2,
light. It's just too light. It's too light. It's too cramped up.
They break so easily as well. Like I've been through
Yeah.
a good few of them. They're terrible controllers.
And good luck trying to find another one.
Yeah.
There's
Once
a lot
again, back
of
on
that's
eBay.
one of the.
too.
Unfortunately, that's one of the only ways to get pressure-sensitive buttons anymore.
Yeah, but I don't use that option whatsoever. For MGS3, I will use it, even though I've kind of found a way to play MGS3 with a DualShock 4 where I'm not really slitting people's throats by accident. But for MGS2, it's really not necessary for me.
Yeah, it's definitely more necessary in 3 than 2, especially in MGO if you ever want to play that online.
I'm afraid to play MGO1 again because I have rose-colored glasses. And I really loved MGO. I loved MGO1 more than I loved MGO2, and I think MGO3 kind of sucks compared to the other two. I've always wanted to go back because I loved MGO. I spent hours and hours and days in MGO1. I couldn't believe it on a fucking dial-up connection. But now it's like if I go, I'm going to have to schedule a meeting with friends to play, and I don't want to do any of that stuff.
Yeah, there's only ever like one person online anymore. You have to get people together to do it. But I got on with a couple of guys not too long ago, and it's still pretty fun.
The best maps of MGO2 are basically MGO1 maps. I mean, that's just my opinion, and I'll never forget.
No, you're right. Yeah.
the strafing they do to avoid being headshot. I miss that so much. And the games, oh man, they're such good games. And then you go to MGO3 and you're like, oh man, 75% of these maps aren't being utilized whatsoever. You're only stuck in one section.
MGO3 had a good, like, the cornerstone was there. You know, they just didn't build anything on it. It needs stuff. There's no stuff in MGO3. There's nothing to do.
Like Survive.
Weirdly, yeah, I had way more fun with Survive than I did with MGO3.
Same. I had more fun with FOBs than the other two, and then
Right.
Survive comes next, and then MGO3 is dead last.
Yeah, I played the shit out of FOBs, but I barely touched, especially in comparison, barely touched MGO3.
So what is Peace Walker then? Like MGO 2.5?
MGO 2.5.
Because the co-op mode in that is a blast, but the versus is just the worst thing ever.
Yeah. No, co-op was fucking dope. Doing the goddamn human slingshot and
Oh, it's hilarious. Yeah, just collaborating with people and trying to figure out how to take down some of the super bosses. It's just fun.
yeah, fighting Gear Rex was a trip.
I'm so mad they didn't put that in Survive.
There's a lot of things well, there was a recent Twitter thread today of things they should have added. I think Janola and Gurlagon, right? It's Gurlagon. Should have
Right.
been added. I think that would have been super fun. The stuff they had was fine for the initial 3 months, but you need more. And I think the problem with Survive is you got single player and you got multiplayer, and both of them don't have enough to justify,
Yeah.
recommending
God.
it.
Yeah, co-op with Survive would have been dope.
Oh, the other problem with Survive is that nobody cared.
Yeah.
No, they cared to hate it. They
Yeah,
they really
right,
they went
yeah.
out of their way to hate it, even if they didn't play it. They went out of their way to hate it.
I felt like I took on the entire like Metal Gear fandom, like defending that game when it first came out. That sucked. That was not a fun time.
You fought harder than I did, man.
But I stood my ground. I stood my fucking ground. I was like, it's a fun time. It's just y'all weren't looking for this type of game. That's all.
If they would have sold it as DLC for MGO3, it probably would have done a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might have gotten a little less hate as well. Like if they sold it like it was zombie mode for Call of Duty, the
Yeah.
same way that thing is implemented, I'm sure. But who knows what they were really thinking of? Maybe they're like, hey, we got to set ourselves apart from MGS5 because it's got the Kojima name on it, and we want to try something new and this and that. There's probably a whole bunch of stuff because it was
Well-
delayed. It was supposed to come out, I think, in 2017, or maybe the beta
Oh,
was
right,
just
right,
2017,
yeah.
but they pushed it out to 2018 March, I think. And those first 2 weeks, they outsold Monster Hunter digitally on the PlayStation, which is,
Whoa, I didn't know that.
I mean, that's a small victory. I get it. But, Monster Hunter was a beast when it came out. Even now, it's still a beast. I'm sure people bought Switches because of Monster Hunter.
Oh, yeah. I do remember there was an interview with, I think, Coricado about Metal Gear Survive, how he talked about the idea basically being born of their younger team members learning how to use the Fox engine and just messing around with it and like dropping items into the world map. And at one point they were like, hey, this is pretty fun. I bet we could make a game out of this. And they tried doing like, well, we can build stuff, so maybe we do tower defense, but when it's player versus player and you've got guns, the tower defense thing doesn't really work, so we need some different type of enemy, and like they go through the rationale of like where the idea came from, and it just sounded like they were having fun and were like, hey, this could be goofy.
I think the quote is, this is the game the team wanted to make.
Yeah.
And, you can believe it or you choose not to. It really depends on your biasness. But there's some things in that game they did right. When I was looking at when I played the beta, everyone, I think us, we had a real good time with the beta. Going into that little lobby, creating little puzzles and little obstacles, and sliding on oil rigs to create like a bowling alley full of obstacles was a lot of fun for me.
I think that was the most fun I've ever had in any game, like pre-game lobby.
Yeah.
God, Nitro, we sat in there for hours just fucking around.
It was a real fun multiplayer. That whole scene was like the MGS4 virtual range, but multiplayer and a lot more fun. And I go to MGS4 and I just play the virtual range because I think that's the only fun part of MGS4 for me at least.
Damn. Also not wrong. I wish MGS4 had VR missions. There was so much going on with that engine that you could have done so much, and it's so underutilized. It drives me crazy.
There was so much going on with that engine, and that's kind of the reason why we don't have the shit we have today.
They showed, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I don't think I've laughed harder though than the first time seeing the Shagohod just rip through a giant crowd and survive.
That game brought me just so much joy just seeing like Metal Gear Rex fuck shit up.
Right?
It's just like, whoa.
The Shagohod was specifically hilarious because it had its own theme music. So once you heard it, like, oh shit, get the hell out of the way now, and you just run inside the airport or wherever.
Thing drifted so hard.
But what I was gonna say is when they showed Ground Zeroes for the first time, and it's specifically the shot of Snake putting his leaning up against a rock. I was like, oh, they're not using this is not an evolution of the MGS4 engine, which I was kind of sad about because I really like some things in MGS4. It's like this is Peace Walker. They're really just building off of Peace Walker and dropping MGS4 altogether. At first, I was really sad about that.
Well, mechanically, but if I remember right, wasn't the Fox engine built on top of what they had for MGS4?
I think I've read something like that too, but Snake didn't look.
Though, yeah, it's completely different.
Snake was more.
Yeah, they feel completely opposite. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's all right. The models just look a bit different. In MGS4, you have like these very long. They're longer models, but in MGS5, for some reason, they're more stocky. This is the way I see it. They remind me of Peace Walker. Things are a little more stocky with huge thighs, but in 4. And you can cut this out because I could tell this is coming from a blabbering idiot. The model's just slightly slicker, slightly taller, more anatomically correct as far as I'm concerned. And then we go into like this, and I don't want to use dumbed down, but it's sort of like dumbed down models. And that's where I see that Peace Walker connection with 5.
They're kind of like arcadey versions of them. I see what you're saying. They're like cartoony kind of.
Well, yeah, MGS4's visual style was still somewhat exaggerated and comic, and it was more stylized, whereas like even in Peace Walker and definitely more so in V, it was, they were going for hard realism, at least as much as they could, and they've crossed the Rubicon now with Death Stranding, but
yeah, right. Death Stranding is a very good looking game. In fact, I think it's MGS4 and Death Stranding is some of Hideki Sasaki's best work and the team around him because those models look fantastic.
Yeah.
With the exception of the very large hands that everybody has in MGS4, the models look fantastic. They do. They have really large hands if you ever pay attention. Yeah.
What the fuck's going on with the Pachinko machine? What was that? What's the story with the hands on that?
It's... Dude,
Big Boss's hand takes up like half of the goddamn screen. What's up with that?
Okay. Go ahead. I've got my own thoughts on this that I've already said a million times, but
Sorry,
go on ahead. I'm just gonna zip it.
I think we're all waiting for you to say something because no one was going to interrupt.
I absolutely hate how the Patchy slot cutscenes look, and I don't know why anybody likes them.
They're stiff.
I always felt that they were like visually impressive, but kind of generic.
Yeah, they're
like Eva looks like, I hate to say this, but Eva looks like something you find from like a Steam adult game.
Oh man!
Don't care. I think they're great.
I'm sorry, man.
10 out of 10.
You'll still play 14 with me, right?
Yeah, give me a full game that looks like that.
Something just looks wrong about them. I don't know if it's the texture work. I don't know if it's just the shape of the models because the faces all look wrong. Just something about, I don't know if it's the lighting engine just looking weird. I mean, I don't know how people look at that and think it looks anything like the characters in MGS3. I was going to say earlier that like MGS 2, 3, and 4 are very stylized. Just sort of touching on what BadHumans was saying, where they have sort of a distinct, unique look, and they all sort of match each other. MGS4 definitely aligns far more with 2 and 3 than it does with Peace Walker and
Yeah.
Wii. And there's just something off about those patchy slot cutscenes.
I do like Ocelot. Ocelot looked pretty good.
And I guess like I don't know if it's true or not, but everybody assumes because it looks so close of a match that they were using the same animation data, which I don't know, probably. It's why do people think they were made in the Fox engine? Is it just because they don't know how engines work?
It's a keyword. It's a hotkey. It's you say Fox engine, you say Pachinko, and people automatically have something to say about something.
It's like it's a different company making that thing, for crying out loud. Like practically anyway.
Most of their Apache slots aren't made by Konami themselves. They're made by some subsidiary group that they bought from stocks. I think they're called like Tokyo Electric something or rather.
Yeah, it's one of their subsidiaries. Yeah.
Right, and they do the Silent Hill and the Castlevania Apache slots, and I think only this one was done by Konami Amusement.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was. I can't remember if it was Konami Amusement before or after, but I know they had a name change at one point to
right.
Like, what is it? KPE, I think.
You're right. But they did borrow some stuff from Konami Digital because I think that you see both their logos next to each other when the Apache slot got released. So that's why that whole theory that they're using the wireframes and the motion captures from MGS3 and just using it with better textures. That's where that theory comes from. I would believe that,
though.
Sure, why not? Doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
No one's going to play it. Like, everyone shits on the Apache slot. But let's be honest. If you were in Las Vegas, you had no idea the Apache slot existed. You were at Las Vegas. You're like, oh, man, look at that. It's a Metal Gear game. Yeah, I'll go spend some cash on that.
It's more than that, though. Because, like, if you go to Japan, every popular video game has Apache slot. Like, every single one.
I like how people pretend Capcom is this, so much better than Konami, but people forget that
Paragon of virtue, right?
In the 7th generation, Capcom kind of shat the bed.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember people joking that this joke might still be relevant. That like that Smash Brothers Sakurai treated Mega Man better than Capcom did.
Yeah, they even said that about Simon and Richter for their Ultra Smash, but. Capcom in 2008 had its best year because they put out 2 Resident Evil 4 Apache slots. No one talks about that. Everyone wants to keep talking about, well, look how many Resident Evils there are, and look how many Silent Hills there are. It's like, you can't do that. What about the 5 other Resident Evil games that no one gives a shit about, like Revelations and Resistance, or anything else that starts with an R that I can't think of?
It's the framing of it. The problem isn't that they made Apache slot. No one would have given a shit that they made Apache slot. The problem was everyone thought it was a fucking remastered Metal Gear Solid 3.
Yeah, they saw the picture and were like, yo, fuck.
It's like Diablo Immortal. Do you remember at BlizzCon when everyone went fucking mental because
I
of
was
Diablo
at that
Immortal?
BlizzCon. You could hear a pin drop.
You were there?
I was there. I was with yep.
Holy crap.
That makes you the biggest nerd here, and that's quite an accomplishment.
I almost feel like cursed since that day when they announced. I was like, is something wrong with me, God? Why did you make me, out of all the BlizzCons you took me to, you took me to this one?
Don't you guys have phones? Like, no one would have cared if they made a Diablo Immortal game. Like a Diablo game for the phone. No one gives a shit about that, right? The problem is everyone wanted Diablo 4 and they were expecting Diablo 4 and then they were getting a mobile game. It's just the framing.
It's the same energy with the support lady of Fingers when she was like, why don't you just get a PS4? Like, no, that's not the solution. You're not getting it here.
Yeah.
Who was the executive at Microsoft who was like, yeah, we've got a way for you to play these games. It's called an Xbox 360.
Yeah, the same exact energy.
The guy that's in EA now. Well, Matic?
Yeah,
Matic, I think, said it.
yeah, I think so. Man, here's the funny thing about that BlizzCon though. It's all they had to do was say, "Hey, everybody, we know what you want. It's not ready yet. We're sorry. We're working very hard on it. Please be patient." And that would have been it. And nobody would have complained.
Well,
Like that's what Nintendo does.
some
Like they
people
just did
still
with the Breath
would've.
of the Wild too. Well, yeah, but it
Yeah.
it wouldn't have been this they wouldn't have been a laughing stock.
No.
Just be open with people. Be human. Don't be like weird corporate robots.
But that's a little different from the Konami situation.
Yeah.
Diablo has a connection with its fans. Konami does not have its connection with its fans whatsoever.
What do you mean, my close personal friend Konami? What are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, Konami's never wanted to. They've always sort of like I don't know. There's this weird tug of war between being this very sterile company and this cult of personality that was Kojima. And eventually the bigger stick won. And now it's like it's weird watching Konami just sort of not do anything.
But they are doing stuff, though. They're just not doing things that people want them to do. That's the difference.
Yeah. But they don't need to.
No, they
Because they're
don't.
making money hand over fist.
Right, and not off not off patches either.
Yeah, off of exactly what they said they were going to do, which is mobile games. I think they own like what 2 or 3 of the top 10 highest grossing mobile games in Japan, something like that.
They got a couple of Switch games that sold millions of copies. I mean, in Japan only, yeah, but they're still making games. They're developing games still. They're just not the games that people want, unfortunately.
We're not the audience, yeah.
Oh, I might still be the audience. That's the problem. Like when they show that Ninja Turtles collection, I'm all about that.
Let's
I'm
go.
all for that.
That was I'm gonna get that.
There's nothing I'm playing. There's nothing I look forward to more than that Ninja Turtles collection. And I'm gonna probably be speedrunning Hyper Heist. Probably the last
That is
thing. Hyperstone Heist. Excuse me.
That collection is a miracle.
I love that collection. I'm glad they're doing it. I never thought they would do it. 13 games. And they're putting in the NES one, which I've been dying to go back and trying to defeat the damn thing.
And Tournament Fighters too. Like a lot of deep cuts in that.
Yeah, even the Japanese versions as well.
So, BadHumans, I got a question for you.
Shoot, Days.
You gonna buy a Fatman plushie?
Am I gonna buy one?
Yeah.
No.
What?
Because I don't buy stuff. I don't have any like Metal Gear trinkets and stuff.
Oh,
I-
come
I'm
on.
the same. I do not own all this stuff.
You are way more mature than us.
This is more than just Metal Gear merch, though. This is a hard-earned victory.
This is the only thing I'm gonna buy, but I'm the same. I don't own tons of Metal Gear stuff.
Because I'm out of the loop. This is something that people like voted on, right?
Right.
All right.
So,
Can I
yeah,
can I
by
tell
all
the
means.
story?
Pretty much had
I'll
a
tell
whole
us.
goddamn campaign for it. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, so I saw that tweet from them initially about how, hey, we're going to be doing Konami things, reply with what characters you'd like to see and we'll do it. And I've got sort of a private chat room Discord thing with the guys who run the Snake Soup and just, a couple other friends. And we just make fun of stuff all day. And I shared this with them and I was like, wouldn't it be funny if we got them to do like Running Man or Fat Man?
Fat Man's a much better choice, by the way.
And yeah, I agree it was. And I'm absolutely going to get one.
It sucks they said they couldn't do Running Man. It's like, come
Yeah.
on.
But like Running Man is like one of those deep cut memes.
Yeah.
And then there's always that old tweet where Kojima said it was like his favorite boss.
Yeah, right.
I also wonder if it's like it'd be kind of difficult to translate from like 2D to like a physical object. I think that there would be a lot of everybody would have their own interpretation, and
it ain't that. It's because no one would have fucking bought it.
But
No
when
one's
they-
buying
Kojima would've bought
Running
it.
Man.
But we got enough people memeing Running Man that they had to respond and were like, we don't think this is going to work as a plushie. And so the group of us were like, damn it. Okay, what do we do? All right, well, Fat Man, that's more obvious. That's actually a really funny idea. It fits.
It's a great idea.
Let's go for it and see if anybody bites. And we did. And they did. And it and it won.
Snake Soup, the videos Snake Soup were making were so funny, and
Yeah.
like they were funny on multiple layers. Like the humor that went into those videos was so clever. I really wish they'd make more stuff like that.
Oh yeah, he was talking with us and sharing like what he was making as he was making them, and just like, oh my god.
I will buy the Fatman. I don't own like Metal Gear merch. I don't have
I'm
anything.
obligated to, man.
Yeah.
I will 100% buy the Fatman.
And shout out First Press Games for playing along with that.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry for your social
Well,
media
I mean,
person.
Look, all the Silent Hill fans who got angry because
Skateboards.
Jeez.
Apparently they sold so well they're releasing another skateboard though. That's the
Yeah,
irony of
that's,
it.
one for each
that's
of the
the
four
renewal.
games.
Yep, that's where your IP renewal is coming from, friends. So stop making articles about it.
Why? I know I've said this like 3 times now, but MGS2 literally has skateboarding in it.
One
What
of
are you
one of
guys
the versions.
doing?
One of the versions, sure.
Yeah, but I
Not
mean,
the
like
Xbox one.
my point is like there's at least a reason. You know, there's an association there. What in the world does Silent Hill have to do with skateboarding? No, I'm hearing Kanye in my head like right now going like, I like some of Konami's game. What the fuck does Silent Hill have to do with skateboarding?
Oh, maybe I can tackle this with the SilentHill.com thing, which I see a lot of people still upset about. Obviously, it's to expand the market. You get more people interested that they weren't interested in before, and then maybe enough what's the word I'm looking for? Enough curiosity builds up where they start making another game. It's always about expanding the market. This is why it became a dungeon crawler for the PSP and Book of Memories and so forth and so forth. It's just a business decision. Whether it's a good one or bad one, that's debatable. But it's a business decision to just expand the market. That's why you have Silent Hill skateboards and I guess Pyramid Head plushies and whatever else they're hoarding out.
This does seem like a more recent phenomenon, though. The restructure that happened, when around the time that Kojima left, their entire philosophy changed. I mean, this is no mystery, but it also seems like whatever gatekeepers were standing in the way of certain, of their franchises being used in certain ways, were now gone, and anything is up for grabs. You used to look at things like Silent Hill and Metal Gear and to a somewhat lesser extent Castlevania, and everything about them was somewhat curated. Like there was a very everything was more intentional, it seemed. And now it's like we're just going to slap the name on literally anything that we get an offer for, whether it's skateboards or NFTs or plushies or what have you. Though, the Fatman plushie I genuinely do like. But I mean, like, in a general sense, like, if you look at the merchandise that is available now for Konami's properties, for the most part, it's all very cheap and not well thought out. And that didn't used to be the case. At least it didn't seem like it.
I don't get that vibe, but it's not because I disagree with you. I don't see it that way. I just want for the record, I think the plushie for Fatman is a terrific idea. And if I was someone who bought stuff, I would most likely buy it because it's cute. The NFTs, Lord sent me a message one time. Lord Emmerich sent me a message. He was like, "You see what's going on with these NFTs?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, it's terrible, right?" I was like, "Why?" Like, I go to him. Look, I'm not gonna buy in these NFTs. These NFTs look fucking stupid, right? I saw what they are. I don't understand them. But if people are investing and people are making money off of it, God bless them. Who cares? If you don't want something, you don't buy it. The same thing with cosmetic microtransactions. If they don't affect the game, then what do you care? Let people make their money. These are $70 games now. They need to make their money somehow.
I think the crux of the argument why I don't like the NFTs is because the NFTs are the complete opposite of the preservation that we're looking for from Konami for these games. When we were like all crying out for like ports and ways to be able to play these games on modern hardware, and they're like, we're gonna add digital scarcity to to a product, and it's just it seems like the opposite of what people actually want from Konami.
People want those games.
Well, they literally even had on the page that like this is a way to preserve the games you love, and it just came off as very patronizing. But that's the thing. People look at this and they get the impression like Konami's, kind of rubbing dirt in their eye. But that's not it. They just don't care what we think. Like we're not really the target audience. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that. That's just kind of how it is.
They have a large audience. This is a family business that has other branches. They got the gyms. They sponsor Olympic athletes. They've got the video games, the mobiles, the patches, right? But it's still a family business. For me, it's kind of hard to shit on a family business. It's just the way it is. If I have a family business, right? Let's say my family business grows to be as big as Konami. I don't want to shit on that. I understand where it's coming from. People want their Metal Gear games. I get it. And Apache, you make a great point. I can't say anything about it because the main problem is these games are not on PC. That's the main thing that I have a problem with when it comes to Konami. These games are not on PC whatsoever. Had these games been on PC, I think I would be a little more lax of what they do. And I am pretty lax of what they do. I don't really mind the NFTs. I don't mind SilentHill.com not being owned. I don't know the last time I went to a .com. Everybody does apps. I even checked what Marvel and DC does. I checked Spider-Man, I checked Batman, I checked Superman.com. Marvel owns Spider-Man.com, but it does nothing. It's a blank page. Marvel owns it, and there's nothing. Whereas DC, you type in Batman or Superman, it goes into their portal site. If Konami did own SilentHill.com, most likely would go to their portal site where they're selling more skateboards. So it's really not a big deal that they don't have SilentHill.com. It's not like they would use it anyway. It'd be a waste of cash for them.
Yeah.
Or just a waste of maintenance.
It's also, on the subject of Konami being a family business, that does also make a lot of the cries for "I wish Sony would buy them" really absurd sounding.
Sony who lost Crash Bandicoot twice.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, they
I don't
lost
think
the
a
tax
lot of
box.
people know how businesses work, but especially not one as convoluted and with such a complex history as Konami. They're not selling to anybody.
I'm sorry, Daves. Go ahead. No, Daves, go ahead.
Mine is completely off topic, so you go.
I was just gonna say I'm a huge Sony fanboy. I'm a big fanboy. But it's kind of hard to even say that when people go, hey, I hope Sony buys Konami, and we get, no, that's not fair to Nintendo fans. That's not fair to Xbox fans. That's the most fucked up thing you could do. Have a monopoly on all these IPs. And it's not like Sony doesn't have IPs that they're not using or they're using. I mean, when's the last Sly Cooper? When was the last Siphon Filter? When was the last Meg? When's the last SOCOM? Everybody's got IPs that they don't use. It's unfortunate, though, that Konami's got these IPs that are Silent Hill and Metal Gear, which have huge fans right behind them. I mean, it's okay that Castlevania doesn't have anything out. It's fine. You got Bloodstained, but really, there's nothing to take the spot of Metal Gear or Silent Hill whatsoever.
I agree. I think it's because when people in a fandom go without information for a long period of time, they become feral, and it's not just Metal Gear that goes through this. I think a lot of IPs go through this. Like, I don't know if you saw whatever happened with the UK Sherlock series between seasons 2 and 3. Like, people genuinely went insane.
What happened? I saw them. What happened though?
So they were convinced that the two main characters were in a secret gay relationship that was going to be revealed in the 3rd season, and and it was hinted at by the people who make the show and things like that. And they kind of did what people did with Metal Gear Solid 5, and they started to see signs that weren't actually there. And then the show came out, and the show was really bad. And so they were convinced that the show episodes that were aired were fakes to lead you off the scent. And there was actually a secret 4th episode.
Wait, is this why they did the whole the episode where they're trying to explain why Sherlock survived the one thing?
Yes, that was purposely making fun of them.
Oh,
So
oh my gosh!
They
that's
actually got
hilarious.
acknowledged by the creator. But yeah, I mean, they were encouraged to act like that. I'm not going to go into fucking John Locke on the show. I'm sorry for even bringing it up. I was just using an example of.
Yeah, you should be.
I was just using
Bringing
an
that
example
show
of a fan base going feral.
Was season 3 the return of Moriarty?
That was hinted at too. That didn't actually happen. There was some weird situation with Sherlock's sister and was friends with Moriarty. I don't know. Season 3 was really bad. That show kind of killed itself. With
I forget which season Moriarty comes back as some sort of AI program. Do you remember that?
End of season 2, start of season 3.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I remember. And season 2, the season 2 finale is the one we're talking about, where someone throws Sherlock off the cliff or whatever, or off a building, and
The Rhineback Falls end of season 1, start of season 2.
I always thought that would have been great for Liquid to come back as an AI instead of coming back as an arm.
I mean, that was one of the theories back in the day.
Was there?
Yeah. Oh my god, there were so many theories, dude.
That Liquid was part of like GW or something. What?
Or he got what he wanted. He beat the Patriots and became an AI himself, and then you get a return of Liquid and your main villain back. But
I mean,
I don't know.
This is why I was so I'm gonna do my thing again. This is one of the reasons I was annoyed about MGS4's handling of this, because MGS3 sort of like nodded to it and said, "Okay, this could be an answer. You don't really need more than that. Figure it out yourself," and left it alone. You know,
You mean the Patriots, right?
Well, no, I mean in MGS3 when they allude to the fact that Ocelot's father is a spirit medium.
Oh, okay.
And basically that was like, oh, okay, you can sort of draw your own conclusions from that.
Right.
And then 4 comes in and is like, no, it's this, and this.
Yeah, well, they did the same thing with the philosophers and the Patriots. I mean, you got that in 3, and then Portable Ops, you got a little bit more, and then in 4, you got, hey, they're the bad guys all along.
Yeah, I mean, in 2, I mean, it seems like the whole thing's just some coy reference to Dr. Strangelove, but you know, who knows?
What do you mean?
In the film, if you remember, Peter Sellers' character, like, how many does he play in that movie? God.
5, I think.
Yeah, well, Dr. Strangelove himself has alien hand syndrome.
Right.
Because he's got, he was an ex-Nazi scientist, right? And he keeps trying to like heal, and it's just, he keeps having to like bite his arm. Like he even bites his arm at one point.
Yeah, I see where you're going now. Yeah.
And so I think, like, I was wondering if like that was just a reference to Dr. Strangelove.
Maybe he's a big fan of that. Well, obviously he's a big fan of that film. He named the character after the movie. Days, you wanted to say something, and then I kind of bored everybody. What did you want to say?
Oh, I was just speaking of Konami, and it's funny because I've been me and Apache and Apache's girlfriend, in fact, have been getting like knee deep into the Theranos story, like the company that was run by Elizabeth Holmes, and a lot of the stuff that she did was very reminiscent of the shit that people like accused of Konami of doing back in 2015, like siloing off employees, tracking folks, making sure folks didn't speak to the public. I thought it was an interesting juxtaposition, especially considering like we never really got confirmation about what actually happened at Konami, but that definitely happened at Theranos. So
if you speak to anybody from Kojima LA, they said nothing of that sort happened, but that's in LA. You ask Ryan Payton, because he had done an interview sometime before, he asked, hey, when I was there, a lot of the practices that we were doing in Konami, we started doing in other companies, like the tracking us and email address and stuff. He goes, yeah, it was weird, but this is what all the companies do later on. But there's other stuff they did that no one really talks about. They had fired a woman who was pregnant, and that became a lawsuit, but no one talks about that. Everyone keeps talking about the Nikkei, I think it's pronounced Nikkei article, right?
Yeah, that's where pretty much every story came from, was one anonymous employee and who gave an interview.
Right, and the 2 articles from Nikkei written by the same person. And then if you ask somebody that's close to Konami, they said, well, it's over-exaggerated, this person was biased. But if you're really curious about the business practices and how they treat their employees, there's a website dedicated to employees rating former employees, current employees, rating Konami as a business, and they dish out on what happened and what didn't happen and whatnot. I think what happened was I sent Lord the link like 2019, 2020, and then he eventually tweeted it 2021. So it's got to be in Lord's timeline. But yeah, there's reviews on Konami from previous and current employees if people really want to know what's going on over there.
So what's the consensus then? Is it like the story said, not at all like it, somewhere in the middle?
I somewhere in the. I just remember what Lord wrote back to me after he read one review. He goes, "The dark times have ended."
I'm sure a lot of people said that when Elizabeth Holmes got prosecuted. So,
But it only, it only blew up when Kojima left, because there was some people talking about when Koji Igarashi left Castlevania.
Yeah.
A little less when Murayama left Suikoden. But it blew up when Kojima left, which is weird because I always felt like he should have left a long time ago. He should have done the Shinji Mikami thing and just leave and do your own studio. That would have been the best. Right now, both companies are in a better place.
I mean, it's somewhat analogous to when Steve Jobs was fired from Apple.
And he eventually came back.
Right. I don't know if that's probably not going to happen in this case. At least, not in the same way.
No, but there is a chance for Kojima Productions to develop another Metal Gear game. Business, money talks.
Yeah. I will agree with that. I think probably at some point they'll find a way to rope him back in. Sony's going to want a little bit of a return on their investment.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, like you said, it's just business, and a lot of fans look at this stuff and they romanticize it and they think it's a lot more.
They do.
Mystical and dramatic than it actually is.
I mean, there was a few months ago. Oh my God! Did you see Kojima follows Konami on Twitter? Konami follows Kojima on Twitter. Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. It's not. But when you have like Jeff Keighley crying on stage, going, "Oh my God! They locked him in an office to do work. Oh, horrible."
Now I'm just picturing Elizabeth Holmes locking Kojima in a closet. I don't know. Sorry, I just completely deflated that.
No, not at all. I'm picturing Kojima tweeting out of that closet because that's all he does.
Yeah, just tweeting about the broom handle. It looks like a flower or some shit.
Probably. I'll be like, look what I ate for breakfast. I had it in my pocket. Let me just show you what I ate. He loves fucking tweeting shit.
Speaking of, he's been tweeting. I guess it looks like they're filming something, like a documentary, maybe. I don't know.
Rocco said it, like on that picture where there's that guy had like all the cameras all over him. He was like, "Is this guy transfarring?"
Transfarring was supposed to be used for MGS5 too.
And then they made it a standard console OS feature.
I don't know what they made it because I never used it. I thought the word was just weird. It was very Kojima-ish, like
it was
Lost
it was
World.
cloud saves. It was cloud saves.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Yeah. Which, good for him for making that a thing before Sony went and made it default.
Sure.
But, that probably took the wind out of his sails a bit.
I think I'm one of the few people that just doesn't care about new Koji Pro stuff. I played Death Stranding only so I could be part of the conversation, but I really didn't feel anything for it. Some people might take that and say that I'm being overly negative about Death Stranding, but I thought the game design for Death Stranding was very good. It's just excellent game design when it doesn't trample over itself and include third-person shooting mechanics where it doesn't fit or play well.
Yeah, the shooting needed to not be there.
No, it didn't. It should have taken a page from Ico or Ico.
Right, yeah.
Ooh, that would have been interesting.
This is one of those things where I'm wondering if, when Death Stranding 2 eventually ultimately rolls around, if that's where he's going, how much more refined of an experience is that going to be? Because Kojima's always sort of, let's say his team has always done a really good job at, figuring out where the problems are the second time around with an idea. Because I mean, there are a lot of really clever and interesting things in Death Stranding, but it's so mired in excess at the same time. It needs stripped down. Yeah,
if it was a AA game instead of a AAA game, it would have been such a tighter game. But I can't like my biggest problem with Death Stranding was the boss fights. If we were talking about bullet sponges and terrible mechanics added to something that otherwise was a very sophisticated game design, if you take away that, you get rid of some of the great cinematics. Because I think, in my opinion, some of the cinematics, some of the stuff he's shooting, looks beautiful, like the cliff stuff in the church right before one of the boss fights and so forth. But I thought combat was terrible. Besides the landscape combat of the mules and the BTs and whatnot, I thought that was fine.
It felt like a concession to Metal Gear fans.
Yeah.
Death Stranding?
Yeah, adding combat to
The
it.
shooting and all that type
Yeah.
stuff. It's like, oh wait, there is guns. Don't go anywhere. Like, yeah. And the thing is, those guns were OP as shit. Like I've got I've got videos on my PlayStation of me just like half a mile away, just like picking people off and just I don't know, especially like the level 3 assault rifle. You could just there was like no bullet drop on it.
I think the only gun that should have been added was, what's it called? The Buller gun? The Bulla gun?
Yeah.
I think that's it, because everyone needs their version of the tranquilizer. I mean, unfortunately, that's what it's come down to.
I have
no
it's... Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just going to say I have no problem with that, but that's it.
I like the idea of there being just extreme consequences for killing enemies. But you're never going to actually experience those consequences when you've got, an arsenal of non-lethal weapons to rely on. No one's going to do that. If there were no non-lethal weapons, if there was a more immediate consequence to killing an enemy, and if you were put into a lot of situations where you had to make hard calls, I feel like maybe combat wouldn't have felt so shoehorned in. But instead, it's just Metal Gear Light.
Especially the new missions.
Yeah.
Ooh, no spoilers, no spoilers. Sorry. I know this is criticism, but
that's as far as I'm going with that.
thank you.
You're welcome. And especially after the marketing for this game, where you have interviews of him going, "Hey, if I wanted to make a lot of money, I'll make a battle royale game." Oh, so do it,
I'd play that.
Why are you saying that? Don't say stuff like that.
Konami needs to make a freaking Metal Gear Battle Royale.
That is something
serious.
I would play the fuck out of, dude. Like, God.
MGO2 does have like
I was
one
about to
mode
say,
that's kind of like that.
Yeah,
When I did that
know.
tweet that was like MGO2 started Get Good or whatever, a lot of people retweeted and they were like, it also started Battle Royale technically.
Yeah. No, it's true. But the marketing for the Death Stranding was like, well, Americans only like first-person shooters. I'm like, have you seen France? The number one game in France is Fortnite. What are you talking about? And that really annoyed me. You just don't go around saying, hey, if I want to make money, I'll make a Battle Royale game. That's like saying to someone, hey, we do have really good sex, but I'm not going to have sex with you. See ya. You don't do that. That's not stuff you do. Listen, you got to put your money where your mouth is. Don't be saying, hey, I'll make more money with a Battle Royale game, and then add like third-person shooter mechanics to a game that had very sophisticated game design. I think it just rubs me the wrong way. The marketing for Death Stranding just rubbed me the wrong way.
How well did Shadow of the Colossus sell?
I don't know, but there's like a remaster and a remake right after it.
Exactly.
Which was, by the way, influenced by MGS2.
Was it?
Yeah, there was an interview where, what's his name, Fuda? He said, yeah, MGS2 influenced Shadow of the Colossus.
I'll be damned. I gotta look that up. I didn't know that.
I linked it I have a Twitter post about it with the interview. I can send it to you later.
Yeah, I really want to read that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is neat. Yeah, it's a full circle.
Whenever I try to compare Metal Gear to other games, I always think of stuff like Shadow of the Colossus. It's so difficult. There's no like direct comparisons.
Like older games or just games in general?
Just games in general. Like what is it similar to?
Volume takes huge inspiration from MGS1.
Right,
VR missions.
Volume's just like VR missions.
Yeah, which is a lot of fun. Yeah. Of course, there's Unmetal.
Yeah.
I'm in that game. I don't know if I mentioned, but
Are you?
Yeah.
Like, are you really? Like, you voiced
he's
something?
legit.
I'm on the creator pack. You can type my name in as a cheat code.
That's really neat.
there isn't really anything like Metal Gear that isn't,
The ones that always come up is that Ace Combat, right? That always comes up.
What's the one that Joe speed runs? Winning.
Win back.
Win back.
Win back. Yeah, win back.
Combat operations.
I love how you called it the game that Joe speedruns. That's the I associate Win Back now with Joe. Sorry.
Yeah.
The game that reminds me the most of Metal Gear Solid in terms of tone, as I say that like as a series, as Metal Gear Solid as a series, the Yakuza games.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Those sort of hit that same chord, that same note between serious and silly.
What about should we maybe look at Strangers in Paradise? Is that sort of wacky but serious?
I mean that's Final Fantasy Rising. That's what that is.
Yeah, I've been playing through some more of that. It's definitely that type of Metal Gear Rising energy for sure.
But for real, I mean, I think again we've talked about this on a past episode. It's probably been a while though, but like, it's weird that we're only now seeing people sort of make games based on Metal Gear Solid titles or Metal Gear titles. There's never really been a lot of games that have taken very direct inspiration from it. There aren't a lot of derivatives. I hate to use that word because it has a sort of a negative connotation, and I don't mean it to, but
Last of Us 2. Straight up. We're influenced by MGS 2.
yeah.
I've heard, and I don't know if this is true, but I've heard that the stealth mechanics in Last of Us 2 are like the first time stealth mechanics have really improved in game design.
I enjoyed it.
I've heard they're like really, really fucking good. But I haven't played it, so I don't know for sure.
The problem with I think The Last of Us 2 is it's just too big of a game. A lot of these Naughty Dog games are just too big, where I don't want to revisit them ever again because of how long it took me to beat them.
It can be off-putting.
There are really only 3 games I can think of that are sort of very closely drawing from Metal Gear in a like a direct sense, and it would be, like you mentioned, Volume and Unmetal, and then another one coming out, Undetected. And these are all very much homages to early Metal Gear games, but I don't know. I just feel like there should be more, and there's not.
It's kind of like like Doom clones, right? Wolfenstein clones. Everyone saw that first-person shooter and was like, I'm going to rip this off. But that same thing didn't happen with Metal Gear Solid.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Why? Is it just because it's too sophisticated?
MGS1 or just Metal Gear Solid in general?
In general.
It's amazing that even now people say MGS5 is the best feeling third-person shooter. And it's from 2015, and even then, you don't have many candidates that beat it. There's a huge influence with Metal Gear. No one ever tries to beat it. No one tries to pull influences out of it. I guess it's too daunting. Maybe it's too obtuse of a series.
I think there was one game that came close to Metal Gear Solid V, and that was The Last of Us 2. That it just felt like that same kind of like stealth action where it was like, I don't know, just it felt similar.
Sure. I felt that way about Uncharted 4 too.
Yeah, but nothing else has really come close to like that fluidity of
No, but even MGS5 has its problems with its context button being used for too many things. You try to climb up a ladder with a guard that's right under the ladder. You're either faulting the guy or you're climbing up the ladder. Or the same thing with the AA guns. You're either jumping in the AA gun or you're faulting the AA gun just by pressing triangle. It's just too much. You don't really need that contextual button to be used for too many things. But that's just my gripe.
I mean, I realize I'm in the minority here, but I kind of miss the more linear, stripped down PS2 era Metal Gears.
Oh, I do. I don't give a shit about 5. I bring back 1, 2, and 3, man.
Oh yeah, I love those like tight curated experiences, being able to play through those on a Saturday afternoon.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. Like I love Metal Gear Solid 1. That's my favorite. But yeah.
Well, curated is the operative word there. Because
Yeah.
a lot of the newer ones, you've got a lot more freedom, and it comes off as far less curated.
Yeah, that's where the experience can kind of go one way or the other too. Yeah, especially if you're just like doing the same thing over and over too. With a game that has that many gameplay options, if you're just using the trank gun over and over, you're missing out.
That's what Portable Ops should have been. Portable Ops should have been a return to MGS2's linear
Yes.
style. I don't know how you can tell me that Survive is the worst Metal Gear when I played Portable Ops on a PSP, where there's a D-pad and an analog stick on one side of the thing, and also I can't map every single button. I'm limited to what I can map in the options, which annoys the shit out of me.
We're gonna get angry letters now.
And I don't really like to shit on Portable Ops because I really like some of the stuff Portable Ops does. I love Ashley Wood's art. I love the things that they add. I don't like the things they brought back. I don't see why we have Sokolov returning just so we can have someone being responsible for a Metal Gear. The Sokolov, Null, and everything else, the boss as well, was just thrown in there. It shouldn't have been in there. Stuff with Gene and Cunningham they're fantastic things. And I don't like shitting on Portable Ops, but Portable Ops is kind of shitty to play, especially on a PSP.
I wish they just had another year with it, and it could have been so good. And I heard it once, I think it was on Kojima Frequency, someone said this, that it should have had the static camera system from Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Well, that's what BadHumans just said, too. I mean, like, it makes so much sense.
It could have been one of the best games in the series, in my opinion. It's like...
These maps... Go ahead, I'm sorry. I just so want to jump into how much I hate playing Portable Ops. You have no idea. Go
I
ahead.
think the frustration, though, what I was going to say is, like, the frustration comes from you see how good the game could be. You, like, see all the elements that are there to make a fucking great game, and it has such bad, glaring issues. I love Portable Ops, but it has serious fucking problems.
You have these large maps with like one guard in it or two guards in it, and then you have this clunky camera system. It's just not fun to play whatsoever.
And then you just have to drag the people from one point to the other.
For like a half hour.
Yeah, that was my least favorite part of it. Is like portable bodies. It's not a good time.
If you want Big Boss rank, because for some reason Big Boss rank is not Big Boss rank. Big Boss rank is, hey, I gotta pull these guys into a truck and collect all these people and stuff like that.
And the true big boss rank, like the big boss rank that we would confer from the older games, is fucking Tsuchinoko, which makes even less sense.
Yeah, right.
It is still impressive, though, that they managed to fit MGS3's mechanics onto a PSP, but it's still not, yeah.
Well, they did again with Peace Walker, and it was more successful.
And in some ways, Portable Ops expanded on Metal Gear Solid 3 systems. It was almost like they were continuing on that idea of game design and making improvements to it. Another reason why that game frustrates the shit out of me, even though I love it.
I feel bad. I don't want to shit on Portable Ops. I understand game development is hard. I've read Ryan Payton's interviews. I know what they were doing and the deadlines and stuff like that. And I'm a video game player. I feel bad shitting on someone else's work, but I really hated playing Portable Ops.
Yeah, that's my least favorite.
And the funny thing about Portable Ops too, it didn't start off like that. Portable Ops during MGS4's development was called like Mina no Metal Gear, which was a Kojima game design, which was slightly different than what Portable Ops actually turned out to be. There's a bunch of it, details of it in Hideo's blog and the Peace Walker blog. But even then, it's slightly changed from that game design, became Portable Ops, and then from Portable Ops we have Peace Walker, which is really fantastic. So I really don't like shitting on Portable Ops because it is the building stone to V and Peace Walker. But fuck, was Portable Ops such a pain to play with? And I didn't feel that bad about 3DS's Snake Eater. Like it has the same problems, but I didn't feel as bad, or I didn't feel as like I had no control like I did with Portable Ops.
Yeah. But this sort of touches on what I was saying earlier about how Kojima's team sort of figures things out on the second go-around. If you look at Peace Walker in comparison to Portable Ops, or you look at MGO2 in comparison to MGO1, or Zone of the Enders 2, Acid 2.
1, Acid 2, yeah.
Yeah, and so that's kind of why I'm like, man, if they go ahead with like a Death Stranding 2, what's that going to look like? If it's going to have that same sort of jump, then you know we might get something pretty special out of that.
Ghost Babel and Boktai. I mean, Boktai is the spiritual successor. It's the same team with the exception of
Yeah.
Fukushima.
Yeah. I don't know. I could never get into Boktai, and I tried.
It's got some like crazy secrets, which I really love about Boktai. Like it really plays with the sun. It plays with time and date. Some really cool stuff happening in Boktai.
I need to give it another shot. I really just need to sit down and go through it. Is there was there ever a fan translation done for 3?
I believe
To your
there is.
knowledge? There is? Okay, good.
Well, don't look. I really have not studied anything up on Metal Gear for months now, so I'm assuming there is because I remember there being one, but my memory's faulty.
Because we got 1, 2, and I guess technically 4.
Yeah, Lunar Nights.
Yeah. It was called Bokura no Taiyo 4 in Japan, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Or
but
s-
Ryan Payton. Yeah, it's called 4 in Japan, and I remember there being a Ryan Payton interview where it said, "Hey, we had changed it because Konami had changed it so that way it'd be more accessible to people from the
That
West."
makes sense.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's still Boktai.
I want a translation for Stock Training Trader Kabutori. Let me learn how to play the market.
That's a deep cut. I don't know that one.
Yeah, Kojima Productions made 2 stock trading training games for the DS.
What were they called? What's it called again?
I think it's like Stock Trading Trainer Kabutore. I'm going from memory. I could be wrong about that, but they made 2 of them.
I'm choking. That sounds great. That sounds fantastic.
And it's just this little comical game that it teaches you how to use the stock market.
Have you played the dating games from?
That's Love Plus, right?
Yeah.
I haven't.
It's
I've seen him, but I haven't played him.
Yeah. The one where he's like the producer, but I think who is it? I think
Oh
Noriake.
no. He are you talking about Tokimeki Memorial?
Yes. Yeah. That's the one.
3 of the drama series games Kojima produced, I think. Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not the director, I don't think.
Right.
Right.
I did not know this until just recently, but the original Tokimemo got a full fan translation, which a lot of people said was never going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's the Super Famicom version, but they've patched it in a weird way that like imports a bunch of the higher quality PC Engine assets and like FMVs and things like that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I played it for a little bit, and it's really really neat that that's now actually playable in English.
That
kinda
reminds me of
mind-blowing.
the MSX Snatcher thing that they someone had modded in Act 3. And
Right?
that
Yeah.
caused some graphical things where colors had changed and whatnot. And it's really some cool stuff.
You can actually, I think, order a physical copy of that from him too.
Speaking of which, Rondo of Blood, and look, I don't know if anybody here is a Castlevania fan, but the fact that there's going to be a Rondo of Blood translated to English TurboGrafx cart coming out whenever they announce it, that's just wild to me.
I did not
There's
know
cer-
that. Whoa.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm chewing on pigskin. So, it would make it the last TurboGrafx game ever
Like
distributed.
licensed?
Yeah.
Holy
It's
crap.
what is it? Press Time or Press Release? It's that company that puts out physical copies of the Anniversary and the Castlevania collection in partnership with Konami. They're putting out a translated version of Rondo of Blood for the TurboGrafx.
That is insane.
No one knows if it's going to be like the PSP one, that translation, which is kind of, if you've played the PSP or the Requiem version of Rondo of Blood, some wacky translation still, terrible captions. But it's nuts. But they do weird things. Konami still does like weird things. Like, who would have thought we would have gone on a VR Anubis or Zone of the Enders too? I still can't believe that's out.
Well, from what I can't source this, but for what it's worth, I learned through the grapevine that ZOE VR Mars, whatever you want to call it, was made to fulfill a previous agreement prior to Kojima leaving.
With Psy Games?
Yeah. So that
You know-
had been in the works for a while.
Yeah, it's still nuts. It's still
It is,
weird.
yeah. And it's like the best version of that game too.
Yeah, but it still doesn't have like language options.
Yeah.
I can't play the Zone of Enders game because they're in English. I can't stand the VA. You're laughing, but it's true. I
No,
can't
I get it. I mean, I like so bad it's good voice acting.
But you know how much we're missing out. Like it
Oh, yeah.
surprised me when I'm reading up on Zoe 2 I'll tie this into MGS4 in a minute. They gave Murata the duty of tying in Zoe 1. Was it Fist of Mars or First of Mars? Fist of Mars,
Fist
right?
of Mars, yeah.
And there are two animated movies, right? Or is it just one?
Well, there was Idolo, which was the OVA prequel to ZOE1, and then there was Dolores I, which is sort of set like before and after ZOE1.
So they gave Murata
I might have that wrong.
I'm sure it's right. I don't have lore next to me to tell me about the Zoe lore, but like I go to him, I was like, so what's the deal with Enders and when is Zoe 3 and this? And he just tells me stuff and I just start spacing out. I'm like, I don't, you handle Zoe. I don't want to handle Zoe. But yeah, they gave Murata the gig of tying all this up, and it's so much we're losing as the Western audience that the Japanese audience gets because of the translation of Zoe 2.
Zoe has a ridiculous amount of lore to it. It's
ridiculous
absurd.
amount. And when it makes me think, maybe Murata got the gig on MGS4 because what is MGS4? It's tying up all these loose ends, tying up all these games with fan servicey and plot holes and this and that. It's the same thing that he did for Zoe 2.
Well, I've heard there are things that were missing in MGS4 as well.
Like what? Like Dr. Madnar?
That's one of them. Well, one example. Did you ever read Tim Rogers' review of Metal Gear Solid 4?
No.
It's a hoot, man. It's a absolute riot. But one of the things I think it's in his review. I could be wrong about this, but I remember reading that one of the examples of the translator not quite getting what the script was trying to get at was Naomi's line of, if you won't be a prisoner to fate, then go and fulfill your destiny, which to somebody who speaks English sounds like complete nonsense, right?
Sure.
But in Japanese, it was some sort of like poetic statement that comes off more like, if you don't want to be a prisoner to fate, then go and confront it. But that's completely lost in the English translation. And apparently MGS4's script was very poetic like this and had a lot of things of this nature, but none of it came through.
Right. The only one I can think of off the top of my head is the Fox Die thing that they play with in Act 4.
Oh,
with
Fox
Ocelot.
Die, Janai, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Which, again, lost.
Yeah, a lot of things lost the translation. And when people talk shit about Kojima's writing, I'm like, how can you really talk about his writing? We're reading it, we're looking at it through somebody else's translation. I mean, it's really not fair.
Well, BadHumans, man, it's been fun talking to you about all this stuff, man. If people want to find you online, it seems to be pretty easy. It's your Twitter.
Don't bother.
Oh, we're not gonna plug your Twitter or anything.
There's nothing to plug. There's no promotion. I don't want anything. It's fine.
But you're like, dude, like we source some of our content from you, so you'd be doing us a favor if you plug.
No, look, my Twitter account has been inactive for the last few months, and most likely my YouTube will also follow suit. There's no point. It's fine.
Okay. Whatever you feel comfortable with.
Thank you.
I was gonna say you're a good follow, a good archive of information.
You're like digitally burning down the library of Alexander here for us.
No, there's like 6 other people that do the same thing I do. It's quite all right. There's no reason for it.
It's always been something. Whenever I see BadHumans weigh in on something, I'm like, all right, this guy knows his shit. This is probably what actually happened.
No, I leave all the opinions to Lord, and I just keep it to myself. I don't need any angry.
Please don't.
But this has been a lot of fun. What'd you say, Apache?
I said please don't, but I'm just joking. I like Lord Emmerich. He's cool.
Yeah. I mean, he's all right.
Shout out Lord Emmerich.
Nah, don't shout it. No, don't even shout it out. Let him get his own episode. He's not gonna shout me out.
Get your own damn podcast.
Yeah, Lord Emmerich, just saying.
Yeah, Lord Emmerich. Like, imagine if you got invited onto this show and said no.
I'm gonna convince him to do the show, and then I'll just jump in. I'll do a French accent. No one's gonna know the difference.
We'll get you in for round 2. All right, man.
Yeah.
Thanks again for coming on, man. We appreciate it.
Thank you.